Live.
All right, we are live, and the New York Mets are kind of back. I can't even put this batting helmet on if I tried. It's AJ's, and I'm wearing headphones. New York Mets are back. Not back, or back, but they're back as of tomorrow and are about to unleash some sort of chaos into our lives, for better or worse. So it's me, it's Kyle, it's Phil. KFC's on the other line right now. He's on the phone. Hopefully we get him in at the end. If not, I told him we need a rant on the Yankees patch from him because he's the preeminent Yankee hater on the internet, and I feel like people are losing their minds about it, which has been kind of nice to see that another team in New York is taking some barbs. But the boys are back, and we are getting ready for whatever this second half entails, having to leap roughly half the National League for wild card slots. But first, the All-Star break, boys. How was everyone's All-Star break? Kyle, how we feeling? We feeling a little more refreshed right now?
I feel great. I watched Pete get bounced out of the first round with some terrible pitching, and then I haven't even thought about baseball this entire time. I did not tune into the All-Star game.
My boy Phil has a little glimmer in his eyes as if the Mets didn't play since Sunday. So Phil is back with us. Oh, he smiled. Did you see that? I saw you smiling right now. He's back. How we doing, Philip?
Last night was great. No baseball, really only the ESPYs and USA Soccer and some fake tournament I don't care about. So it was a good night. Just relax.
Yep. It's beautiful. And the today's the Thursday back from the All-Star break. And is there a game tonight? I didn't even check to see if there's any.
No, they had that last year, but I think they scrapped it. I don't know, but not my problem. So I can do no baseball for 2 days.
Yep, not my chair, not my problem. And the Mets come back on an Apple Plus game, which isn't even like a real game in my mind. Like about to throw up. Hell of a way to start the season, restart the season in the second half. But yeah, we'll dabble with some All-Star break thoughts here. The Derby. Are you guys still in on the Derby? I feel like this is like the dunk contest banter every single year. Where is it broken, needs to be fixed, or is it back? I'm old at this point where I'm just like, let the kids have their fun. If they like it, they like it. If not, tell me why not. Part of me wants to go back to the 10 out rule, right? And then I'm like, well, then we're going to have the same issues we did then. But it's just organized chaos, and I don't even know if it's a good thing or a bad thing.
The only person I blame for this is the ESPN broadcast not showing the actual homers. It's all ESPN's fault. Just say that.
I like that.
When did it become like, and this was overarching everybody that I talked to was like, this is just a conditioning contest. Like, it's just how many swings can you get in this amount of time and not get tired? Like, what's the point of that at that point? Because you want to see somebody hit. Remember when Vladdy would hit, not Vladdy Jr., his dad would hit 500-foot bombs, and you'd be like, this is great. This is what you're here for. Meanwhile, they're hitting like 330 wall scrapers because they're gassed. And it was like, correct me if I'm wrong, the first year that they put in the time, it used to be that they had to wait for the ball to land before they could throw the next pitch, right?
Yep. And you know what happened this year? And he was like, Randy started leading off with that, where he wasn't waiting, and everyone else was like, oh, if he's not doing it, neither am I.
And that's why you couldn't even keep track of the home runs.
Yeah.
That is trash, and it's just a problem. It's just there's no, and then you're like getting upset about it. Like, I'm not going to get upset about the home run derby, right? So it's kind of like on draft night, where all the insiders say they're not going to tweet the picks. And then one guy who's not associated with any of the major brands starts tweeting. It's like, well, if he's doing it, I'm going to do it, because then I look like a fucking outsider instead of an insider. So I understand both sides of it. There is something, like you said, Kyle, about when a guy would hit a 500-foot bomb and it would just be a majestic, holy fuck. It's Griffey hitting the warehouse. It's McGuire hitting shit into like the freeway or whatever in Boston. There is something about like allowing the home run to breathe a little bit. And at this point, which is amazing, Vladdy Jr. have been the conditioning guy and making it to the end. I heard, I think the word burger was trending on Twitter because everyone was saying Vladdy needed another burger, and he's just out mashing. So it was interesting to see. Our boy Pete, was that the best way Pete could have went out though? It's like, it sucked that he lost, but he lost to a guy everyone loves who had an unreal performance and got like 3 pitches to hit.
I said it was a very familiar feeling because he stepped up to the plate down 42-0, just like he has been in every Mets game this season.
That was an insane performance by him too. It's like, what are you going to do at that point?
Yeah, exactly. And in like perfect Mets fashion, Pete's coach had a forearm, right? The forearm injury.
Yeah.
And that's why they had to switch coaches to the last time. And, if people want to give Pete, take credit away from Pete for that first Derby win, because Dave Dross was the greatest home run derby pitcher. It's like you got to give him a little bit of a break here for having a guy who, honestly, Epler should think about signing. We could use him in the bullpen, if not the rotation.
Well, they said that was like their BP thrower. If that guy's throwing BP, no wonder we're like a league average offense.
Yeah. And there is something to be said. Like, if they had thrown Max out there, I think Pete might have had a chance to win it all when it's all said.
Put Jeff Brigham out there on the mound.
Yeah.
Never know.
Yeah. So that was the Derby on.
Wait, one more thing though. When they introduced them, Alonso has the most home runs in home run derby history. If that's not a reason for them to change the format, I don't know what is. Dude's been in 3 home run derbies.
So people got mad at me for saying this. So I don't want to see Pete in another derby. Put Francisco Alvarez. Put the younger guys. Put the younger stars in there. I think we've seen Pete enough in this thing.
There was a time when like the big names dropped off and nobody wanted to do it, and everyone was like, "It ruins your swing," and like that was the dark days, and nobody wanted to tune in and watch when you're watching like fucking David Wright was in the home run derby. Like,
oh god,
you know what I mean? When you got guys like that in it, it's like, what are we doing? But if the big names are willing to do it year in and year out, like, the younger talent's going to push it forward.
Yeah. I mean, I want to see Ellie De La Cruz in this thing next year. So.
Yes. Yeah, get the cool, the fun guys. And listen, we know this as fans, and it happened again. Like, when Pete's in it, he just gets roasted from every side, whether it's actually, Pete being a cornball, like everyone says, or people just love hating him because he's a Met. It's just going to be this every year, and we have to like fight it as fans, which at this point it is what it is. Just let everyone chirp him and whatever. But I think you're in 4 derbies. You've won 2. You had like the moment. At some point, like we said on last episode, unless you're going to be like the final boss and you just keep winning these things, and then at some point you're the guy that people have to conquer. I think like 4 derbies, you're 2 for 4. Like, you're batting 500.
You're 2-2. It's like it's lost its charm at this point. Now you're just like one more derby away from having a losing record in 5 tries.
Yeah, which isn't bad.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem bad when you put the whole thing of it. But it's like there is the guy who just is always hanging around the dunk contest. It's like, all right, we've seen you, man. Like, you don't need to do this anymore. So that was the Derby. Now the other thing was the celebrity game. When did the celebrity game even air? Because that would always have its moment again, whether it was Kate Upton going up there or some sort of a comedian doing something crazy. I don't even know when it was on. Phil, you probably watching this shit. When was it on?
All I remember was when I went to the All-Star game in 2013. The celebrity game was right after the Futures game. So although the Futures game back then was on a Sunday, this year it's on a Saturday.
Okay.
So I don't know when this celebrity game even was. The celebrities in it, I don't even know who they are. That's the other thing.
That was the other thing.
So,
okay. So if you don't know who the celebrities are, when I was watching a home run derby with a bunch of social guys, me and Jack said, like, if neither of us were on like the internet 16 hours a day, don't know who these people are. Most people probably don't know who these people are. So the celebrity game has kind of gone through those dark days, like we said with the Derby game, where the celebrities are like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't want to like head to Seattle in the middle of July for like a day to take a couple cuts, run the bases, and whatever."
Like, gone are the days of Nelly winning the MVP every year because he was like a minor league ball player diving all over the outfield. He would put on a show. But yeah,
next year it's in Texas.
In this one.
Next year it's in Texas, so you may have a better turnout. So.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Maybe Jerry sends a couple Cowboys. Yeah, gets.
We see Dak Prescott. Honestly, Jerry may have the whole Cowboys playing it.
So it's definitely lost a little bit of charm. And for me, again, the All-Star game, my favorite part of the All-Star game would always be watching my guys. They tip the cap, do whatever. They had like the crazy, pyrotechnics and stuff, guys coming out, which is fine. But even that was kind of like whatever.
Did you notice that the Rays didn't even get an intro in the All-Star game?
Yes.
The PA announcer skipped over and he was like Wander Franco and Shane McClanahan.
Was that like I was wondering, is there some sort of Rays Mariners beef that I have no clue about?
It's because the Mariners, the Mariners went before them, and the PA announcer like soaked in the moment, let them have their cheers, and entirely forgot to announce the Rays.
Oh, that's incredible. But it kind of goes back to the All-Star. I saw, was it the lowest ratings for an All-Star game ever?
Yeah, it's probably going to be like one of the least memorable All-Star games, like because it was a 3-2 game won by a 32-year-old. Exactly.
I didn't see a single. I did not watch a single pitch. Who won?
The National League. We won.
Oh, all right.
We finally won for the first time since 2012.
Which I saw the lineup the last time the National League won. All I saw was Dan Ugla was in it, and I was like, "Oh man, those are."
It's been that long.
It's been that long. Exactly.
There's a 3-2 game won by a catcher that most people will be like, "He was an all-star." Elias Diaz. When did that happen?
Yeah. The Colorado. It's always like when the Colorado Rockies representative is the one deciding the game, and he was their one guy. It is what it is.
I put this up on the baseball account. These were the players that received MVP votes the last time, like the All-Star game happened. The last time the NL won the All-Star game, 2012, these guys got NL MVP votes. Alfonso Soriano, Adam LaRoche, Chase Headley, Carlos Ruiz, Aramis Ramirez, Martin Prado, Chris Medlin, Alan Craig, Aaron Hill, R.A. Dickey, Gio Gonzalez, Miguel Montero. So it's been that long. And that was for SSS Radio and me just naming off a bunch of guys we remember.
No, that's beautiful. Save those names for the Immaculate Grid. Like those are some solid Immaculate Grid names to have here. Adam LaRoche. Oh my God.
R.A. Dickey, Cy Young that year, got MVP votes. That's how long it's been.
Jesus Christ. So that was the R.A. Dickey year. Oh my God. I can't believe that was 2012. 11 years. So National League One, Kyle, breaking news. Now, I did see, is it true that if it had been tied through the 9th, it was home run derby?
Yep. If it was tied 3-3 going to extras, it was home run derby. So now,
nice things.
Yeah. And that's when like Manfred has to do his David Stern, do whatever he
just step in, call balks to make it 3-3.
Because then you can't, like, I don't care about the derby. I don't care about the All-Star game. But a home run derby to win the All-Star game, you might have just gotten my attention there, and you get Kyle to tune in. Unfortunately, it's just not the case. So you could do the whole thing. How do you fix the derby? How do you fix the All-Star game? It's like every All-Star game and every like skills competition, like the dunk contest. It's for kids. The kids probably are like fine with it because it's cool shit. And then you just go about. Like, I feel like the derby at the floor of the derby is higher than the dunk contest because you have those dunk contests where the guys just miss them and it's like literally painful to watch. You're always going to have guys hitting dingers. So in the end, it's going to be all right.
But you go back and I said this when they had they had some sort of for the rain delay for the hot dog eating contest. I was like, all you have to do is show the N1 mixtape tours. From back in the day, and the old school home run derbies, and like if you just had, I guess that's ESPN Classics, but I don't watch ESPN Classics. If that's all you aired, people would love it. Like that's what I wanted to see. And when you're a kid, I remember distinctly, it was like you'd be at your little league game or whatever, and you're like, I need to get home. The home run derby starting. I want to see the uniforms they're gonna wear because they didn't have internet back then for them to release it, so you had to watch like shit like that. If they had like some sort of like payoff, I mean, now they just do everything ahead of time.
And looking back, a lot of the derby that I didn't like in the old format was I just hated hearing Chris Berman say back a million times. Like the first 100 times.
I missed that.
Yeah, you kind of miss it now, but like it did wear on you throughout the night. I wonder what it's like without Chris Berman watching the old format. I think it might have a chance. And again, you still have to figure out a way to just kill all that dead air or whatever. So
they take too many pitches. It was like 4-hour affair. But they used to give away a house too. Century 21 used to be paired with the person was paired with the player.
Yeah, that's right.
And the All-Star Game MVP used to get a car, and now that doesn't happen anymore.
I still think there's ways to fix the MLB All-Star Game where, again, in the NBA game, in like 5 minutes left, that's when like the stars of the stars try to go out and either win MVP or win the game. And in basketball, you do have that one-on-one. People actually maybe play a little bit of defense. In this, Rico said on the rundown yesterday, if you could bring back the guys who have been taken out of the game in like the 4th inning and actually have the starters, and it's like Freddie Freeman's deciding the game or Ronald Acuna against, whoever the fucking stud is from the AL in terms of like who's like the best closer in the AL this year. Like Clase has slipped off a little bit, right?
God, I don't even know anymore. Now you make me think about AL closers. Felix Bautista, the guy that blew the game.
Yeah, so the guy who blew the game, he faces, Cunha instead of Diaz. It makes a little bit of a difference there. Or I said it again on the rundown. The World Baseball Classic was the greatest baseball in history, I was told, right? Let's do America versus the world for a year and see how that goes. You have Dominican, Puerto Rico, fucking Otani coming out of Japan.
We do have the futures game, so I don't see what the issue is for this.
Yeah, exactly. And the American pitchers do not go to the World Baseball Classic, right? That was part of my problem about doing it, where it's like Adam Wainwright and Daniel Bard are on the bump for like the biggest moments. How about now we have Garrett Cole pitching there in those spots for the Americans, and you could just, for a year or so see. And the other thing is crazy to me is how like we're not instituting the commissioner rule for Ellie De La Cruz or whoever the hottest, coolest fucking guy is that didn't get voted to the game or just came up a month ago. If you trend on Twitter, if you're the number one trending topic on Twitter, you get into the All-Star game, basically. And like when that fucking guy stole second, third, and home in the same inning, you have to put him in the All-Star game.
If
like,
there was some sort of integrity to the vote anymore, like that one year that every single position player was like a giant because it's a fan vote.
2015, it was the Royals. I think they had 7 guys.
So like the vote, like the All-Star game, let's call it what it is like fake as it is. Like the best players aren't necessarily on the field if it's a fan vote. So if the commissioner can at least like put some excitement, put some young guys, put the players that are supposed to be there on the field, like I'm not going to have any umbrage with it. Like the All-Stars don't matter anymore. Like, do they still count them when they're picking them for the Hall of Fame? Like, is that like really something on the criteria list for you guys?
Well,
if you're Trout, like, yeah, like
for me, no, but for the old head baseball writers, probably.
It's weird. Yeah. It's weird to think of because, like, who's that one fucking guy? Every team gets a player, and it was like some random dude got voted in for the NHL that one year just because they thought it was awesome. Funny. It's like shit like that.
Yeah, that was actually pretty fun, and the guy was against like the legends of the game.
Right.
It almost felt a little like Pro Bowl-y too with all the last minute scratches this year. Yeah. And I know, especially with pitchers, it makes perfect sense. You're not going to have a guy on short rest or whatever, or a guy who's battling injury. But it did feel extra Pro Bowl-y this year, at least just seeing all the names roll out. And then our boy Senga just making it as like the 18th replacement.
And then he says like, I don't want to play in this game. I want to pitch Saturday because we're having a Barstool the ballpark on Saturday. I want to pitch for those guys.
That's right. God bless Kodai Senga and God bless Barstool the ballpark. We will be there on Saturday, and that tailgate. We will be tailgating. We will have our first Barstool at the ballpark tailgate. I don't know if that's definitely true or not, but the first one that I've been a part of at the Mets games, and that will be presented by Coors Light, the beer that is keeping us chill throughout this nightmarish season. I can't even call it a full nightmare because we're not in last place, but it's pretty damn close to a nightmare. But it is the beer that helps you relax. Get it, like they always say, get into that retired state of mind. You don't have to be a rich Mama Luke like Kevin and just have money to sit back. You just get your Coors Light with the Blue Mountains, start drinking. It chills you out. It puts you in that retired state of mind during this summer. It's the beer that's made to chill. It's absolutely perfect for us Mets fans. It's been there through the good, the bad, and the Metsy. And considering we thought after last season we were just going to be having like smooth sailing, not so fast, my friends, and we learned that real quick. So Coors Light this summer, chill like you're retired with Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And like we said, July 15th, Mets-Dodgers 7:15 game. We at 4:15, we will be at the Southfield parking lot. We're going to have a big Coors Light tent, some Coors Light, we have some cornhole. We'll have some free merch to give away, and we'll have some Coors Light, some snacks, all that kind of stuff, music playing, everyone just hanging out. You want to get to the game early if you're taking the train in, you're driving, whatever it may be, come hang with us over at the we'll tweet it out. There we go. We have the details right there on the Instagram. We'll tweet it out on Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. And kind of just a place to chill before the game. And no matter what happens in the game, we can have some fun before the game. That's going to become the new motto of the podcast if this team keeps acting like this. Speaking of the team, boys, second half. Sell me on the second half. Sell me on why the New York Mets can make this at the very least a competitive second half where we're dreaming of the wild card, competitive games in September. I can't believe we're bringing it back. How do we get to competitive games in September? Phil, start me off.
Well, it starts off, we play the Chicago White Sox in the second series at the break, so sweep those guys, and we'll see what happens after.
Looking past the Dodgers series to open up the break. That's a good man right there. That's a good way. Kyle, what do you think we have to do here to get this thing started?
There's 3 players that need to turn around if we're going to win, one of which could be a trade deadline piece that we move. But as of now, with the squad that we have, we need Max Scherzer, we need Starling Marte, and we need Jeff McNeil to play like their 2022 selves. And if you want to say Max wasn't so good last year, Max had the lowest ERA of his career last year. So if we get that Max in the second half, if we get Starling Marte and Jeff McNeil hitting over 300 like they were last season, they were our 2 most consistent players all season long at the plate. Then you have Alonso coming back from the wrist injury. Like, the pieces of this team, the way that everyone wants to kill Billy Epler for the way that he constructed the team, it's the same team as last year for the most part. They took a chance on Verlander, but everything else about this team led you to believe that we'd at least be somewhere around the 90 win mark. We're not going to get there if we're not making the wild card. Those guys need to play. Like, that's just straight up how it is. I don't know who else really needs to step up. I guess the bullpen. But what do you think, Clem? Who are your
All right. So this is how I've convinced myself. Second half, Justin Verlander had the injury issues in the beginning of the year, obviously, has been up and down for sure. But what is he, 3.6 year right now? So like,
I think it's 2.70 since June 1st, which surprised me. So
Justin Verlander, I'm putting him in pen as our ace. Justin Verlander is our ace. Boom. Last year's Cy Young Award winner. The injuries are gone. He's settled in. He's getting used to the pitch clock. Everything's good. Justin Verlander is our ace. Kodai Senga, our all-star Kodai Senga, is our number 2. You have Senga in as number 2. Your Buck's learning how to, get the rest down with him. He's getting more accustomed to the higher mound, the bigger ball, and the goddamn major league lineups he has to face every 5 or 6 days. Max, you're now our number 3. Max Scherzer's your number 3. He's getting a little old, little long in the tooth, gray beard, whatever you want to call it. Max Scherzer's our number 3. He's not the Max Scherzer, but if Max can, like you say, Kyle, just kind of bounce back, figure it out, he's our 3. You could do that. Jose Quintana, a man that I said I will not believe is real or even a New York Met. If he can come in and just be your 4, just be our 4, Quintana. That's all I'm asking. And then I don't even care about our 5. Our 5, it's, pick your poison, Peterson, McGill, that Vasile guy or whatever from the minors. You get someone at the deadline. You figure out one of these guys that Epler traded, Escobar for, someone else. Boom. There's a rotation, which has been the trouble spot of the team. Where am I wrong? What's that mean?
This. I'm looking at the schedule. You may either really like what I'm about to say or really hate it. We end our last 13 games of the season first. It's all versus the Marlins and Phillies. Perfect. So if we are 3 games out behind them at that point, we can make up that amount easy in the last 2 weeks.
If the Mets were in the opposite, where they were they were the number 1 wild card, and they were basically not well behind the Braves, but knowing that the Phillies and Marlins are going to be there at the end of the season, I'd be terrified, because we've seen this movie. I saw it in 2007. I saw it in 2008. I saw it a million different times with especially those 2 teams, the Phillies and the Marlins. At this point, there's no fucking way we're going to be ahead of them by the time that first game starts at the end of September. So let's fucking roll with it, baby. I love that.
You just got to keep it close. Get them within 4 or 5 by September 18th, and you have a chance. That's all.
How many wins do you think they're going to need?
I think it's 44 and 28 is the number people are throwing out, because that gets them to 88 wins, I think.
Okay, so you think 88 gets them in?
Yeah.
Last year was 90.
No, 44 and 28 would get them at 86. So.
Okay, so 46 and 26. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, now we got to do a counter.
Yeah, this is.
What is it, 46 and 26?
I think I said 44 and 26. So I don't know. 44. It said 44 and 20.
46 and 24. 22 games above 500. That's happened before.
No,
right?
Just get 44 wins. Doesn't matter how many games we play to get 44 wins or more. I don't care.
46 to be comfortable.
Yeah.
So this is what I like, and this is the truth. I don't actually enjoy being in this race and being where we are. But there's no scoreboard watching when you're chasing 100 different teams. And granted, at some point you figure some teams are going to fall behind and kind of add to wayside, and then you're going to know who the teams you're chasing. But there's no last year it was we lost, the Braves won, or we won, the Braves lost. That is out the window. I cannot even Phil is crazy. He'll probably be watching every single team that we're chasing, because that's what he does.
I'm really the only ones I'm rooting against are the Marlins and Phillies, just because I hate them.
Yeah, that's fair.
But still, it's not like I'm sitting here. It's damn, we couldn't pick up a game here. It's I have to worry about ourselves first.
That's exactly it. So it's I just need to worry about the Mets taking care of their business and getting to that 88, 80, goddamn 86, 90 wins, whatever it may be. It's going to be an absolute if they do it, if they're even close to it, it's going to be a magical run. whether or not, everyone else cooperates in it, you go 20 games above 500 in the second half. It's going to feel fucking fun. So at this point, that's all we have to worry about. Anything from Marte and McNeil just have to wake the fuck up. Whatever it may be, they just have to wake the fuck up, which at least with McNeil, I feel like he has. Marte, you can convince me he's older. He had serious injury last year, all this kind of stuff. Unless Jeff's just heartbroken he's not a golfer, and this contract was him signing away his dream of being a professional golfer in his early 30s. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with this guy.
Mike Petriello of MLB wrote it. I think Jeff is one of the worst hitters now that the shift is gone. Mm-hmm. I think the no shift has taken away 7 hits from him this season, which is the most or close to it.
That's crazy.
I believe it.
And it was crazy because he was so good against it wasn't just him poking it to the spot where they weren't. He did that a lot last year, but you don't win a batting title. All right. I don't know if I mentioned this last episode. I know what the problem with McNeil is, and it's not McNeil. We did our part. We burned that shit. Has Frank burned the jersey, or is he in the process of doing it?
I think he told me he wanted to do it today. I'm not sure if he actually is or not, but he showed me he has the jersey and a World Baseball Classic bag that he's putting in it, so it all burns together.
And someone sent him a flash dance, what was that, a blanket or something?
A blanket. I'm sure he may be burning that too.
Yeah, he has to burn. That cannot be around anymore.
Yeah.
And, I don't care. I had to get rid of the song. I love the song. But you can't, that blanket is more evil than almost anything any of us have, because that was sent with the inflammatory reasons for the tank. But everyone's clearing the juju. And if this guy is truly a leader, and I know Kipnis says he's not, Francisco Lindor needs to buy that fucking car. He has to buy that car. Yeah. You can't promise someone a car if they win the batting title. He literally goes out, wins the batting title, and then it's just sorry. There's at this point, I know there's shortages in cards. Jeff can if he's not going to pick out a Benz or he's going to pick out a Rolls, pick out a Toyota Camry. I don't care. But a car has to go into Jeff McNeil's possession with Francisco Lindor being the signer of the deed or whatever the fuck it is. Transfer it to McNeil and he gets the car. Because at this point,
give him the jalopy from Remember the Titans where they're all hitting it with the sledgehammer. Give him some rage room type of stuff to get all the demons out of the clubhouse too. They can do somebody get hurt. They would.
Yeah. I was gonna say. I said it on the Coors thing today. I said the Mets can't hurt us today. It's the last day of the break. I'm well, they can't hurt us on the field because I didn't think anyone could hurt us before opening day, and then a minute before first pitch, Verlander ends up on the IL. Right.
In the back of my head, I thought during the All-Star game, Kodai Singh is gonna step on the mound. I'll check him for sticky stuff.
Has Max's ERA just ballooned ever since that sticky stuff incident, or has it been back and forth?
Kinda. I mean,
yeah.
It went down and then it went all the way back up. So,
because that kind of concerns me too. Was he really pushing it to the limit? Let's see, the Dodgers series there. So the Dodgers series was April 19th. Then May was the next time. He had a 3.38 ERA in May. So I can't blame it all on, which was the same exact as his April ERA. So I can't blame it all on the sticky stuff. All right. And then obviously 4.25 in June, 7.36 in July. God damn it, Max. You got to figure that shit out. So McNeil, Carr. I'm going to put the car completely on Francisco Lindor's lap. He has to get that fixed. Marte, injuries. Canna, I can't even get on Canna. He kind of carried us through a dark time.
He's been a league average player. Nothing he's done. If you look at guys on the team that do what they should do.
Expected him to do.
Yeah.
Yes. Tommy Pham, which I saw they had a second opinion on Tommy Pham.
Our OPS lead, Tommy Pham, by the way.
Our MVP, most valuable Pham, should be back in the lineup tomorrow, you would hope. Vogelback, I think either Danny Boy comes out of the break on fire or he is going to you forget this about Vogelback. He just ended up out of baseball for a hot minute, right? After everything kind of fell apart for him after Seattle. So that might be, I love him. I love the big problem. He was good to us. And he was part of the magical run last year. If he doesn't come out hot, I think it's he's out and then Vientos in, right?
I mean, yes. Mark Vientos has over 700 plate appearances in AAA, which is kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
It does feel like there's a chance Vientos does become Bull Durham, which, I mean, we were saying this back when he was like still in Double-A. It was like this. It feels like the way the team talks about him versus how they talk about Beatty, it's like two different players. And I know his defense is a part of that, but I don't know if he's even like a left fielder at this point. He just feels like a designated hitter. Do we even have like another option as a lefty power bat for DH if we get rid of Vogelback? And power bat I use in quotes right now.
No, I don't even think so.
Because it almost feels redundant having Pham and Vientos up here, even if Pham is more your fourth outfielder as well, and you're mixing them both in. But it's like Canna and Pham and Vientos. It's like I just one of those guys was a switch hitter or lefty. You know, I'm a balanced guy with my lineup.
Yeah.
I like having some lefty in there. Moving along, the bullpen. At this point, with the bullpen. I'm like, if the starters give you guys innings, I'll get on you. But until they do that, I can't really get on the bullpen. Are we kind of in agreement on that? Like, fuck Jeff Brigham with a fucking rusty pole. Other than that, like, there's really no one I have beef with.
I just feel like they're all just trying to tread water most days because they're like, oh, I got to go out and pitch again in the fourth inning, in the fifth inning. Like, and then
Dominic Leone's got to be tired of warming up in his third inning every time.
Seriously.
I was going to say, can you imagine how good the last week felt to Dominic Leone, where he didn't even have to worry about getting on the bump at all. He just could just sit around. His arm was probably just in ice the entire fucking from Sunday night on. He just had his arm in ice.
Like 2 months ago, he took the mound. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I've seen nobody but him since. I feel like every time I turn on the TV, he's on the mound. I'm like, what the fuck's going on?
In honor of our boy Perpetual Pedro, R.I.P. in peace with Pedro Feliciano. It's like the worst version of Pedro Feliciano on a worse Mets team somehow. And other than that, like I honestly don't know where else. I don't know where else to look in terms of like finding answers on this team. Francisco Alvarez, cannot wait to see him back on my TV. Actually, I don't even know. I have to figure it out. So YouTube TV still does not have.
You don't have to figure this out till Sunday because Friday's Apple TV, Saturday we're at the game. So Sunday.
And Sunday might be PIX. Sunday might be PIX. I have to look into it. So then I might have until Monday. I have to look. I'm going to look at the
No, they're off Monday. So they until Tuesday.
Oh,
they're off every Monday, I believe.
Is that true?
Yeah, they're off every Monday until. Wait, yeah, every Monday until August 7th. So. Yeah,
that's good.
I need that to just be a running trend in baseball. Like every team just gets one day, so that you, as the fan base, are like, "Oh, I get to shut off my brain one day."
Our bye day. Mondays are bye day.
Yes, everybody needs a bye day.
I like that a lot. Plus, it's like I remember last year we were worried about like the 26 games in 25 days and stuff like that. And I feel like that probably is coming at some point because of the Braves. We had those games get postponed or whatever. But knowing out of the break, there is a chance. Everyone's pretty fresh, and we're having the Mondays off every single week. And the fan base gets the mental break every week. You cannot discount that at all. So that makes me very, very happy. Mondays, I wish Tuesdays were our bye date because we stink on Tuesdays. We're absolutely, what were we, like 1-10 at some point on Tuesdays? It was something like horrendous. So I'll have to figure that out. All my fellow YouTube TV people, I'm not ready to pull the plug yet, but I will not the Tuesday I will have the Mets on my TV, whether it's on YouTube TV or not. I can now listen to the radio anymore. Ever since I found out that fucking radio announcer was a Yankees fan growing up, it ruined it for me. And I'll tell you, as an old, the radio puts me to sleep. I fell asleep during that five-run inning the other night, and I woke up in the third, and they're like 7-2 Mets. I'm like 7-2 Mets. What the fuck did I miss? So it's tough sledding out here for us on YouTube TV. However, speaking of technology, we have some beautiful news right now. The Barstool Sportsbook, it's relaunched. It's new. It's beautiful. Look at that, Kyle. Look how sharp that is. We're on the YouTube right now for people watching. You will see the $0 in my account right now. That is true. We might have had some outstanding ones for like Francisco Lindor MVP. Not sure that one's going to cash. But the Barstool Sportsbook is back. It's beautiful, and it looks wonderful. We have Wimbledon going on right now, which is a nice thing if you want to bet on during the day. We have baseball starting tomorrow. We have the boosts that you get with the Barstool Sportsbook. What do we have right now? A bunch of Wimbledon stuff. And then what I'm betting on, my NFL futures. I love my NFL future bets. Last year, I infamously picked the Jacksonville Jaguars to win the AFC South. I won it by the grace of God because they won. What was that? Josh Dobbs. Was that the Josh Dobbs game where he was starting for the Titans. I can't believe it all panned out absolutely perfectly for that. So I'll be making my picks. I love doing my over-unders like Mike Francesa and picking my games. So check out the Barstool Sportsbook. Download and sign up for the Barstool Sportsbook today. Terms apply. Must be 21 and older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. I feel like the Sportsbook, they're going to really ramp it up now heading into football season and obviously baseball playoffs. And with the new Sportsbook, it looks beautiful, and I cannot wait to get it going. All right. We talked Mets. We talked All-Stars. Now it's time to let out a little bit of hate in our hearts. The New York Yankees patch was one of the great moments. The New York Yankees patch reveal was one of the great moments in New York Mets fan history, just because other than Brian Cashman, I have never seen a fan base unite against something across town than the Yankees fans. And I have to tell you, this is the God's honest truth. I may not like the Yankees. I may hate the Yankees because of all the Yankees fans in my life that like ruined my childhood growing up. But man, I'm almost kind of sad as a baseball fan that they did this. I thought it was the one franchise that would always be above this kind of nonsense. I said it the other day on the rundown again. My father was a huge Yankees fan, and I said, I understand why they had to get rid of the stadium, because you always want to keep up with the Joneses. The Mets were getting Citi Field, but there is something about Wrigley, especially Fenway, who's their rivals. And that old ballpark had that mystique. You walked in, you were going into a museum. Now you walk in and you feel like you're going to like a sterile, like a restaurant. And I know they won the first year, which they like loaded up. I remember when they signed to share, I'm like, oh, they're going for the World Series year one, because that was like the move on top of the moves that they had done. But man, I'll tell you, man, I just feel as like the Yankee mystique is like officially you don't have the stadium. You're not in the mix every single year. Like I know they make the playoffs, but they're not like World Series favorites or anything like that they used to be. And then like this patch on pinstripes, earning your pinstripes. Now you're earning your Star Insurance premiums. That's all you're getting on it. Just an absolutely tough look.
So if you're working for Star Insurance, do you have to shave too? Like be part of their fish? I made Clem spit ice water. Like, you have to like abide by the Yankee facial hair rule if you're working there. Like,
at what point now does the conversation come in that they're going to rename Yankee Stadium? If they can be bought, the stadium is worth a hell of a lot more than these patches, and it's reported between 20 and 25 million a year they're paying for this patch.
Bob Nightingale said that they turned down someone that was willing to pay $35 million a year. So now I'm thinking it's like, it was that like Brazzers or something, or some porn site. The Yankees like, no, we have to be respectful here. We cannot take this money.
It would have been funny if it was like Barstool and Portnoy was just trying to troll the Yankee fans. That would have been perfect. That would have been brilliant too. You get like a Boston team sponsoring the Yankees. I just don't understand it from even a marketing perspective. Like now I know what Star Insurance is. I think 90%, 99% of the people who now know what Star Insurance is, I think it's commercial insurance. I don't think a lot of people will be like, oh, now I'm going to go Star Insurance. In fact, I'm pretty sure no Yankee fan will. If you buy Star Insurance, you'll get like thrown out of the family for fucking buying Star Insurance. And as a Mets fan, as much as I love seeing people across the tracks squirm in anger, I would never buy Star Insurance because it's like kind of going to the Yankees pocket in that point. So I'm saying fuck Star Insurance, even though I love how much it's pissed everyone off. It's just an unbelievable turn of events. And it's like, what are the traditions left they have? It's like the beard is the only real thing that's left there now, right?
And they were revolting against that since McCutcheon's been there. He's like, oh, like they're making me cut my braids and shave my face. Like this is against, the culture and all that kind of stuff too. And it's like, oh, well, right now, the way that things are going, you know what? They're probably going to do away with that as well.
Yeah. So they're just going to become another baseball team, which is wild to see. And again, this is coming from someone that roots for a known loser. I say this 100% with clear mind, conscience. I completely understand where the Mets stand in the hierarchy of baseball, especially compared to their rich neighbors. But man, that's tough. And like you said, I guess Progressive Yankee Stadium or something like that, or some sort of sponsor, no matter how much it would like sync up with the Yankees, that does feel like the next thing. And it's a Hal Steinbrenner thing. It all starts at the top, and we're waiting for the Uncle Stevie stuff to catch in. I do feel like the infrastructure is being built, and I think last year was kind of a glimpse of what it can become. Granted, not with a bunch of olds on the team, but hopefully you're building through your farm system and everything else. But I think Steve Cohen, if he had built Citi Field, probably wouldn't have had it. It would have just been like Shea or some other. I don't know if it would have had a sponsorship on it.
We wouldn't have as many Dodgers things around. I can tell you that much.
That's exactly it. It wouldn't look like Ebbets Field. Wouldn't have Dodgers stuff everywhere. I mean, they've added more Mets stuff already since he's been over, and all like the tacky ads that were all over the scoreboard wiped away. Scoreboard's like 10 times bigger now. So it definitely feels like.
I'd be like some .72 field, and then he's just like feeding the money back into his own pockets, back and forth.
Yeah, definitely. There's some shady shit going. I still would love if Stevie had some of his artwork on display somewhere in the stadium. We have the shark, we have the giant balloon animal or whatever. I mean, he probably has shit that like no one even knows about that's just sitting like his like not even his living room, like his like man cave downstairs or something. So a sad day, a bad day for a lot of Yankees fans out there. I didn't see one Yankees fan who was like, every Yankees fan I saw was like, the only way this is cool is if Shohei Otani is the one collecting some, that's part of the Shohei Otani fund is that $25 million a year.
Well, the Mets can wear the Mercury Mets jerseys if they're meant to having Otani.
Is there? What is the line that would have to be crossed for you to say no to Shohei Otani? Like Keith is already like, I'm not giving him 17. All right. Would you take Otani if it meant Keith Hernandez had to be exiled from the booth for good?
Yes.
Yes.
There's no hesitation.
I don't think so.
Kyle, you're not doing it, huh?
No.
You know what? This is why. True. That's fair. That's fair. The reason I say yes to it is because I bet Keith would low-key be happy that he no longer has to do this anymore. He's like, thank God, get me the fuck out of here. Especially during a season like this. And be like, again, I love Keith. Is kind of goes towards everyone that experienced 86 and remembers it. Keith had his time. I need my time. I need one fucking year. I need not even 1 year. I need just one day where they raise that trophy either at home or away, and then the parade. Other than that, I never will give a flying fuck about winning another title again. I just need one. And if Keith Hernandez is getting in my way or Keith Hernandez's number is getting in the way of that, fuck it. I'll tell you right now. Get rid of everyone. Get rid of Gary. Get rid of Keith. Get rid of Ronnie. I'm not going to say get rid of Howie because I consider Alyssa a close friend. But everyone, get them the fuck out of here. I need to win a goddamn World Series.
He's a 16 guy anyway, so if he came in here, he'd want 16.
That's true, and they've given 16 to like everybody. Did Jose Lima have 16 at one point? I feel like
Danny Muno had 16. If you remember who that is.
Oh my
Most
God.
prominent Mets to wear: Angel Pagan, Paul LaDuca, Lee Mazzilli, John Stearns. You can have it.
Jesus. I mean, and I understand Doc's time did not end well here, but that's just a tough look for everyone involved. So yeah, I guess so. He was 16 in Japan before he came over.
Yes.
How the fuck does he have 16 in Anaheim then? Was someone 16 and they didn't know that was before he became Otani in the big leagues, I guess, because there's no reason that doesn't make any sense at all. This podcast will just become Otani and Soto watch if the Mets continue playing like they do. So
they were already they were asking every Met that they could get in front of the microphone about Otani, anyone on any team about Otani, and then they were asking Soto to name the 5 boroughs in New York, and he rattled them off like nothing. Everyone's like, he's coming.
That's the other thing. I feel like this could be like, I wonder if this is part of the Yankees being like, all right, we're going to kind of sell our soul and take care of some of the tradition and make money off it to start reinvesting. Because it's been crazy on this side of town to see them not go full bore the way they have in the past, right?
They really hamstring themselves when they signed Stanton, and then they couldn't go get Harper, and everybody wanted Harper. So I feel like they are sitting back a little bit to get one of these guys.
Yeah. And again, Otani, I feel like if it's an Epler thing, if he comes here, but I feel like the Dodgers are kind of the real rivals there. Soto, that swing, that stance in Yankee Stadium does feel like it could happen. So that scares me as a Mets fan. Then again, I look at Cohen and I hear all the stories and the houses that he would not lose. And I'm like, I don't think he's going to lose to free agent. So we'll see.
What do you guys think? So final thing before we get into the full on into the second half, what, if any, moves do you think we're making? The Cardinals just came out and straight up. I would love that if my team was shit, though, for the owner to be like, yeah, we're selling everybody. Everybody's on the chopping block, whoever they want to try to get. Like, we're open to listening. Like, if your team sucks, that's kind of what you want to hear. They're not going to go anywhere anyway. Those guys have a lot of pieces.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
So the Cardinals, like, if it would be interesting. Goldschmidt, Arenado, Yeah, are you saying for us? Like, do we go after those guys?
We go after any big fish when it's like we're stuck in the middle where, we have to win an absurd clip to even have a shot.
I know. I mean, it was a dumb trade proposal. I said, why put out yesterday? It's like Kevin Parada for David Bednar. It's like if you are going to buy, you want to get guys that are signed for not just next year, maybe years after. Because, I mean, you don't know if those guys are going to be available in the offseason or this could be your time to get them now. As for us, I think we're just going to have a quiet deadline. I think it's just going to be we're probably going to – if we're right now, we're probably not going to do anything. If we fall like 10 games back, it'll probably be like Pham, Robertson, Canna, and that may just be it.
Yep. And then if we're, alive still, I do expect like a move or two to be made. And it'll be a move that I'll have Phil send me a stat that will get me to completely believe, like the Michael Givens in high leverage situation stat. I'm like, oh, this guy, we got him exactly. We just had to put him in the right spot.
Exactly.
Like that. But I don't expect them to stand pat just because I feel like they'll have the chance to eat the money, kind of what they did with the Escobar deal, right?
Yeah, and it's not like we're missing out on a game changer if we don't trade any of these guys. Like realistically, contrary to popular belief, the Mets don't have any players people want outside of like David Robertson and maybe Tommy Pham. So,
what do you think, Kyle?
I think that the first two series are going to be huge. I think if we get our dicks kicked in by the Dodgers and then the White Sox, I think that they're just like, okay, well, we already out of like mathematical equation to make this happen, and then we don't do anything. We just try to get pieces for the minors system with the guys that we have and try to get like maybe Scherzer's contract off the books. I don't even know if any teams are checking in on Scherzer at this point. So much money.
So much money for a guy that isn't even that good. So
I wonder if there are any other like coaches out there who are like, oh, this just like this one simple fix and I can make Max Scherzer, what's his name? Rick Peterson. Like I can fix him in 15 minutes or whatever.
I mean, look, you never know. JD Martinez looked washed last year, had a back problem at age like 30 something, and here he is with more home runs than last year already. So
that would have that was one of the guys at the deadline that we were all kind of hoping for, and I mean, it didn't kill you.
He looked awful last year, and then it's like, well, the Dodgers just made him good again.
They did Dodgers shit, which we need to do. We need to have Dodgers people in our organization. Hopefully, they're already there. And then Stearns, which that a lot of hopes are going to be pinned on that poor guy if and when he comes here, because that's something you got to believe in. Kyle, I think I talked to you about it too. Like in terms of like Arenado, that's one of those things that feels like it would have been good, and it's not like Beatty is like, oh, I don't want to ever take it away from Beatty, but that's another brutal contract there.
He has like another 3 years of like 30-ish million left.
Yeah,
and if I have to take a guess, I think. If he's moved, I know the Dodgers wanted him like years ago when he was a Rocky, but the Rockies weren't willing to trade in division. Maybe that happens again, but I don't know.
He's just like, he's so good defensively. It's a lot of money, but he's still hitting like 280 for them, even on like a down year. I think he's got 19 home runs. Like he is every much still that player, but it's one of those things where like by the time we get him, he'll end up being like Robbie Alomar Jr. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to do that.
Or it's like by the time we get him, it's like, well, Brett Beatty's with the Cardinals with an 850 OPS or something.
Right.
Like,
and it says here, let's see, 35 mil next year, 32 mil in 25, 27 mil in 26, 15 and 27. I don't know if that's definitely locked in.
Well, the 15 and 27, you could just eat that if he sucks. Like that's like Josh Donaldson number.
Yeah, he's 32 now, which is a little younger than I thought he was. I feel like Rockies age you just being on the Rockies.
And he also had like a back injury earlier in the year or something, so that's not good.
When the Cardinals first got him and we thought he was like never going to get moved, then I was pissed. But at this point, it's like, we waited too long.
And the Cardinals sound like they're a fucking disaster too. Yeah. So it would make perfect sense for them to move Goldschmidt, which then you worry about the guys you're chasing getting the Cardinals fire sale, right?
I mean, Goldschmidt would be perfect for any team because he plays first, then he could DH. So even if you have like a first baseman who's banging like we do, you know what I mean? Like you'd have somebody else to DH would be sick, but
I mean, if we ever got Paul Goldschmidt, Frank would call him Paul Ghost Schmidt or something.
Paul Bronze Schmidt. He's not gold, he's bronze or something. Fools Goldschmidt. There you go. We're coming up with Frank names on the podcast. You know we're in a dark place this season. So it all starts tomorrow again, guys. Get your Coors Light and get ready to rock and roll. So yeah, if anyone's at Barstool, if you're going to Barstool, the ballpark, even if you're not going to Barstool, the ballpark, but you're going to the game on Saturday, 7:15 start. We'll be tailgating at 4:15 in the Southfield lot. It's right by the 7 train, the Long Island Railroad.
You see the big Coors Light comes right up.
Yep, exactly. So check us out there. We'll be hanging out, eating, drinking, and believing. Gotta believe.
Gotta believe.